Hey guys, this is Sam and I'm back. And I guess you can say this is like a part four. And I'm going to talk about why I even pursued a 9 to 5 and why that was a mistake. So this video is less about China and it's more about like the thought process of a 9 to 5, or should I say a full-time job, and why I pursued it, especially in an international country like China. So let me tell you, there are pros and cons to a 9 to 5. Everyone knows that. But in my life, I've only seen mostly the cons. And I received more pros of not working a 9 to 5. So I'll say this. In my professional experience, I've only worked a consistent full-time 9 to 5 for 2 years. That was from 2018 to 2020. When I was 23, which was about like 7 years ago, I graduated from the University of Central Florida, and I got a job on the same day that I graduated, which is, a good thing, right? Um, then I went back to downtown Miami and I was working as an animator for 2 years consistently. And I'll tell you, within those 2 years, and this is why, like, the company you work for means everything. Within those 2 years, I didn't go on any vacations. I had applied for my passport. I had a passport, a fresh, brand new passport that I never was able to use. You somehow always had to use your vacation days for something personal, like if you were sick and you ran out of sick days, or using your vacation days to go to someone's graduation or someone's wedding. It was always, you never could collectively use all your vacation days to go on a real vacation. A lot of people will say, 10 days, you're living your life for 10 days. Some people even get laid off on vacation. So you were never safe if you went on vacation. Within those 2 years, I mean, the company was okay, but within those 2 years, I never could go on vacation. I was giving my life to the company, and around the pandemic 2020, we all got laid off, and some of us had a lot saved up and some of us had nothing. And it was like I had a friend at the time, he spent 5 years at this company. When he got laid off, he couldn't even pay rent for the next 3 months. And he made twice as much as me. I was just an animator, he was a developer. His salary was twice as much as me, and we lived so close to each other that I can go to his house just by walking, and he can come to my apartment just by walking. And I, at that time, had a lot saved up. So there's a lot of cons, and the cons is that 9 to 5s, full-time jobs, they don't necessarily stop for your life. And when I was working my first full-time job, my mother got really, really sick. Like, she was in a hospital, and then she was in hospice. Like, she was a dying woman. And I chose to spend most of my time by her side. Not for a company that I just started working for 3 weeks ago. But my boss at the time was very understanding, and she let me stay until the very end, by my mother's side. And I was out for like 3 weeks after that. And they still paid me even though they didn't need to. And that's why I stuck with that company until the very end. They treated me well even though they didn't need to. And interestingly enough, I'll talk about China. Something similar happened to me in China, and it did not work the way. Because what I didn't mention is that, before I got terminated in China, my cousin got in a very fatal car crash. God rest her soul. But I never used her car crash as an excuse for my performance or if I was slacking, because they didn't like me whether if I told them that or not. And I never told anyone at the company what happened to my cousin. And I was live streaming her funeral the night before I got terminated. So it was just like I was already dealing with that, and then boom, I got terminated. And the problem is, as a new employee at any company, if you're still on probation or whatever, you don't have the luxury to have a sick cousin or a dying mother or car crashes or fatalities or people getting sick. I've heard about people getting really, really sick, or you had to go to the hospital within the first month of your new job. And they really don't care about that. They just kind of see you as a liability. Like, oh, we hired someone who was really, really sick. We hired someone that had to be hospitalized for 3 days. So I'm going to tell you my entire career history, and I'm going to say job history because I'm mostly self-employed now. And I'm going to tell you, even though I'm not making nowhere near as much money working a full-time job or any of my past full-time jobs, I'm going to cut this video and show you exactly what I've been able to do just by selling products on Amazon and reselling. And I'm going to show you my untraditional retirement egg and how I've been affording a lot of my vacations and trips over the years. So let's go back to 2020. 2020 comes and I have a friend and he's telling me about reselling, like thrifting, selling items from the thrift store, and as well as like reselling anything in general, like stuff from stores, retail arbitrage. And I get into it and I'm making a lot of sales. I made thousands of sales selling beauty products, selling clothing, even selling Pokemon. You'll see in my videos I have a ton of Pokemon, right? And this is my untraditional, retirement, because a lot of us, we're not working jobs or we're not at jobs long enough to build up a 401k. We're moving jobs every few months or every few years. Long gone are the days where you were actually at a company for 30 years and you had a lot of money to retire on and you got paid out and you had a pension or a 401k plan. You don't have that. Look at this. There's only about 120,000 of these. This came out in 2021. This is the Pokemon Japanese Post Stamp Box. I bought this for $167 in 2021. It is now worth $1,000 now in 2025, and the price will probably keep going up. So this is what I'm saying by untraditional retirement. I collected things that I liked. So here's my little reselling business. All of these small items are lip glosses, and all of these black bags are clothing items. They can also be books or they can be video games. But I started this right after the pandemic, and I'll cut the video, but I'll show you more of some of the things in my apartment. Here's my grandfather clock of all of the little souvenirs I picked up overseas, and this is from the Philippines in 2023. I also went in 2024. This is from Istanbul, Turkey. Let's see over here. This is, the little trinkets you can get in Japan. I got these in Tokyo, and I got this one in Mexico. And I went on more vacations in the past 3 years than you'd be able to ever get working a 9 to 5. You would have to at least work 5 to 6 years to go on the amount of vacations that I went on my own, no time limit. So I was able to go on vacation for about 30 days, upwards to 30 days a year, as much as I can afford. There was no time limit. I didn't have to ask for days off. It was on my own dime. And was I rich doing it? No. But was I happy? Was I living? Yes. Was I going on adventures? Was I going to hostels and meeting people and learning people's names and going on tours and going on dates and eating interesting foods and things like that? Yes. Sorry, I had to cut the video. So I even had a Power Rangers collection that I love Power Rangers, and I sold it. Like, I had it for Halloween. I sold it and I regret it. I still wish I had those Power Rangers toys that had a lot of sentimental value to me. It was like a Mighty Morphin collection. I had the Blaster, I had the Morpher. So yeah, a lot of people value those things. Like, everything in this world is limited. Rocks, material, gold, and some people might pay you more money for something that's scarce. So I have a lot of stuff. I have Disney Lorcana, and right now Disney Lorcana is not even that popular, but who's to say that someone won't buy my Disney Lorcana collection in 3 or 4 years? So that's what I mean by untraditional retirement. So if I go back to my story, I started reselling products in 2020, and I didn't even make $10,000 the first year I did it. Like I was still learning, but that combined with my savings allowed me to go on some vacations. So 2021, that's when the stock market turned around and everyone's investments were going through the roofs. And I went on vacation in Mexico for the first time. I left the country. I was 26 years old and I loved it. It was 1 week. I met friends that are still my friends to this day. I had romances, I've had wonderful pictures and videos and photos, and I liked Mexico so much I decided to go on another vacation. So I went to Mexico for 1 week, then I went to Turkey in August. So about 4 months later, I went to Turkey for 2 weeks. So think about it. What job will allow you to take 2 vacations in 1 year? Name one job that'll let you do that. Even if you did have the vacation days accrued, you would probably inconvenience them by taking off twice in 1 year. Most of these jobs are designed for you not to go on vacation or for you to take your vacation all at once. Even when I was in China, they were talking about like, oh, when you get your vacation, you have to use it up all at once. There's no using 1 day here or 2 days here or anything like that. So this is what I'm saying. I had free time. And I'm not just talking about if someone gets sick or if it's your cousin. What if it's something less serious like a marriage? Maybe you have 3 friends that are getting married in the same year. Don't you want to go to all 3 of their weddings? Or there's a graduation. Graduation is very common. You have multiple family members graduating in the same month. Don't you want to attend as much graduations as possible? Not pick and choose which ones you want to go to. So you can see how when you're working a 9 to 5, you're inconveniencing your employer by having a normal actual life. Only the holidays we all get off, but what about non-holidays? What about weddings, funerals, people getting sick? What about your birthday? You can't even take your birthday off. Something like that. You see these jobs doing like a lottery system to get days off, and there shouldn't be a lottery system for you to actually live your life. So am I making as much money? No. In 2022, I was still reselling. And in 2023, I went to the Philippines for like 3 weeks. Most of these jobs here in the United States or around the world, you have to be at a senior level to get 3 weeks of vacation, which means you have to work 5 years for a company before they allow you to get 3 weeks of vacation. Think about that. So then the next year, I went to the Philippines again. In 2024, I went to the Philippines again and Japan. And in the video that I'm going to cut to, you're going to see all of the souvenirs I picked up from my trips. And all I was doing was selling products on eBay and Amazon, as well as part-time work. Now, I was also working as a teacher part-time on the weekends and during the summer. So I would work as an animation teacher during the summer, doing like pre-college programs. It was very lucrative. The salary was very high, but it was just for the summer, 6 weeks. And also on the weekend, I would teach animation. I don't want to disclose the employer because I'm still doing it and I very much like it. But that's the thing. Like the reason why I pursued a 9 to 5 was because the money was inconsistent. Sometimes I would have very good sales and sometimes I would have very bad sales. Just kind of like a restaurant or a nightclub. You have days where you have good business and you have days where you have no business. And if it starts raining one day, maybe no one shows up at your restaurant. But maybe if it's a very hot and sunny day, everyone comes to your restaurant. It really depends. So the thing about 9 to 5s is that they're predictable. You can predict when you're going to get paid. You can already allocate your money before you get it. If you don't get fired or anything, you can be like, oh, let me budget 3 months ahead of time and I should be able to afford this. That's the consistency you get. You also get the consistent boringness. You get it's mundane. You're doing the same thing over day after day. You're getting paid the same wage. There's no fluctuations. There shouldn't be any variations. That's what you're doing. When you're doing a 9 to 5, you're doing static work. It is not flexible, it is static. And things shouldn't change that much. And when they do, that's when your employer is probably going to replace you, or you should be thinking of an exit strategy. Long gone are those days. I don't have to ask anyone for permission. If I want to go to France tomorrow, I can go to France tomorrow, and my products will still sell at home. I can just set my store to FBA and send all of my product to Amazon or something like that. And teaching as a teacher part-time instead of full-time allows me to get natural breaks. Like I have full-time contracts where it's like, okay, for 6 weeks I can't go anywhere, or for 8 weeks I can't go anywhere. You're teaching the summer program. And then after that, it's like my contract naturally ended, and I can do whatever for a while, that I'm not locked in for an entire year, or I'm not locked in for eternity. There's pros and there's cons. The cons is that you're constantly looking for new work, you're looking for new contracts, you're looking for new part-time jobs, but you get to breathe. You get to remember that life is something to live, and it's not something where you're just supposed to keep working and working and working until you get sick, or keep working and working and working until something in life happens and you have to step away. You should feel like you can actually live your life, that you can go places, you can go to weddings, you can go to funerals. You don't have to ask permission to do something that you're gonna do anyway. And you're just hoping that the person is granting you to do it. Because trust me, when I was in China and I heard the news about my cousin, I was like, I probably should go back. I should go back to the United States, but the question is, will they let me back into China? Will my employer accept me with open arms if I showed up in 2 weeks after all was said and done? No. And if you look at my China stories, you would know the answer was hell no. They didn't even like me as a person or respect me as a person. So why would they respect my cousin who they never even knew? They weren't sympathetic or empathetic at all. So this is just my story about my 9 to 5 experience, of how much trips that I was able to go on, making minimum wage, or making a below poverty salary. That combines with different efforts. That I'm not going to have a 401k, probably not. And I would rather retire on my Pokemon treasures and my Power Ranger treasures and my Disney treasures and all the cool little trinkets that I picked up over the years, and sell it to the highest bidder in my 40s and 50s. And that's perfectly fine. Even if no one buys it, it makes my room look really cool. I like looking at it. There's a lot of pieces and cards that I have that spark very good conversations. And yeah, the 9 to 5 is not working. A lot of people are stressed. They're not happy at work. They're stuck in positions where they have to work for companies they don't like and work with people that they don't like, or a manager that doesn't like them. And I'm not saying or trying to recommend how you should live your life, but I'm just saying it never worked for me. I did it for 2 years, and where's all that money that I made in those 2 years? Pandemic came and I had to spend a majority of it. I wasn't living. I couldn't go anywhere. All I had was the weekend, and everyone just looked forward to Friday. It was Monday and you were looking forward to Friday every single week. There wasn't much living to do. Or people were just looking forward to vacations. Like, wow, you're looking forward to 10 days every year. That you can go to Thailand, you can go to Myanmar or something. 10 days. And me reselling products from home, I could go on vacation whenever I want. Whenever the money is right, I can go. Or I do a part-time teaching job, and I'm like, okay, when I'm done with this contract, I can go. And no one is stopping me, and I can book the flight, and boom, I'm out of here. So yeah, 9 to 5 isn't for everyone. And to be honest, I'm kind of grateful that I didn't have a 9 to 5 and I was allowed to see the world and explore different cultures, meet different people, have different kinds of friends all over the world, which opened me to international teaching, which opened my mind, because it wasn't something I came up with by myself. Someone recommended to me this kind of route that I can take in my life. And I think I will be traveling a lot more in the future. And the only way I can do it is if I have my own business, my own stores, part time work, part time contracts. Because I think contracts is mostly what I've been getting. Like, hey, you have a contract for 6 months, you have a contract for 3 months, you have a contract for 1 month. And sometimes you have a contract, you know that there's an end date that's coming. So you actually appreciate the job a little bit more because you're already kind of planning, like, hey, what's next for me? And that could be pretty exciting that you're not stuck doing one thing and there is a path forward. Maybe you can be a bartender, maybe you can be a restaurant owner, maybe you can just stay in your room for 2 months and play video games, whatever you want to do, and that's perfectly okay. So this is my take on the 9 to 5, and this is a little bit about my history, my job experience, my work history, and even a little bit of China drama. And I look forward to the next contract, the next thing that's for me, because I'll be teaching animation in the summer. And after that, what's next? You know, will I do international teaching again? Will I be a bartender? Will I ramp up my store? Will I increase my inventory? Or will I do something completely different? I want to know myself. And that's exciting. It's a little scary, but it's exciting. And yeah, this is Sam, and I'm out. Thank you for listening to me ramble for a fourth time. Peace out, YouTube.